coming up on DHN.
Arizonans are adding another same-sex marriage lawsuit to the list.
And later, find out what major U.S. city is the first to ban single-use water bottles.
And we talk with CSD Fremont about their first North Coast Section Championship.
DHN, where you can get information about all the news of the day with signing, voices, and captions.
The Deaf and Hearing Network starts now.
Good evening and welcome to DHN. I'm Melissa Huber.
And I'm Dave Huber, filling in for Clayton Ide this week.
Voters in Crimea went to the polls on Sunday and voted to join Russia. President Putin and the Crimean Prime Minister held a signing ceremony on Tuesday to make the annexation with Russia official.
In our hearts, we know that Crimea has always been and always will remain an inalienable part of Russia.
International leaders have chosen not to recognize the vote. Many believe that it was hastily set up by pro-Russian authorities in Crimea. The U.S. has imposed sanctions on Russia and other high-ranking officials. NATO troops are being dispatched in order to stop the Russian army.
Russia has offered a variety of arguments to justify what is nothing more than a land grab.
Next week, the president will gather leaders on the sidelines of the G7 nuclear summit to discuss the next steps against Russia.
President Obama held a press conference to say the U.S. will not support Russia's actions. He approved more sanctions and is refusing to work with a bank in Russia. The president also signed an executive order to penalize key sectors of the Russian economy. After almost 2 weeks of searching, new information has come up about missing Malaysia Airlines Flight 370. Ground crews lost contact with the plane less than an hour after takeoff, and evidence shows it may have been hijacked and crash-landed in the Indian Ocean. The search expanded to 3 million quarter miles. Australian officials found debris in the search area that may be related to the missing plane.
Following specialist analysis of this satellite imagery, 2 possible objects related to the search have been identified.
Images show one of the objects is close to 79 feet in size.
It is probably the best lead we have right now, but we need to get there, find them, see them, assess them, to know whether it's really meaningful or not.
Investigators are hopeful but still waiting to confirm the evidence.
Couples continue their battle in court to allow same-sex marriage in all states. Arizona is one of 30 states to not recognize the commitment. Our reporter, Rhonda Makowiczuk, has more.
Thanks, Melissa. Last week, another lawsuit was filed in a Phoenix court trying to force the state to recognize same-sex marriage. Many of the couples involved with the suit are legally married in other states. If they win, it will require Arizona to recognize marriages from other states as well. These types of lawsuits continue to be filed even though the federal government recognizes same-sex marriage. It is up to each state if they will do the same.
Utah and Texas have had similar filings that led to the courts striking down same-sex marriage bans. However, they have put on hold while they are appealed.
Arizona will be seeing a new set of candidates in this year's gubernatorial race. Governor Brewer announced last week that she will not be seeking a third term. Arizona law says you can only be governor for 2 consecutive terms. Since Brewer completed Janet Napolitano's term and then won her own, there was a debate about whether she governed for 2 terms. She could have taken the law to court, but many reports say it's unlikely she would have won. If she chooses, Brewer can run for governor again in 2018.
Arizona continues to lead the country in pro-gun legislation. Monday, a Senate committee passed 5 bills that will allow for concealed weapons in government buildings and will penalize cities if they try to pass gun legislation that is stricter than state policy. Supporters say this is necessary to protect Second Amendment rights, while opponents say it's unfair requirements on the city. If passed by the entire Senate, the bill will head to Governor Brewer.
Phoenix has gotten quite the makeover this last year, but looks aren't the only thing that will be changing. DHN reporter Diane Sue Kovacs has been following the story.
Thanks, Dave. The city has set up goals over the next 10 years to try and improve transportation. One of their biggest focuses has been on pedestrians.
It kind of gives you that safe feeling, like the nicer it is, more attention's been put in, so you're more comfortable to walk around.
Drivers will also see a change in speed limits and a transition of one-way streets to two-ways. The project goes from Buckeye Road to McDowell Road and 7th Street to 7th Avenue.
The Clinton family will be visiting ASU later this month to host their 7th annual Clinton Global Initiative University. The event lasts for 3 days and will be at Skysong ASU in Scottsdale. KTAR reports that guest speakers will include former Representative Gabrielle Giffords, Senator John McCain, and late-night talk show host Jimmy Kimmel. The meeting was established back in 2007 to get college-age students more involved with global issues. DHN will be attending the event March 21st and 22nd.
It might be time to invest in a reusable water bottle. Our reporter, Rhonda Makawichuk, will tell you why.
Last week, San Francisco became the first major U.S. city to ban single-use water bottles. Residents have time, though, because the city won't start phasing them out until October. In fact, they won't be fully taken out of the system for another 4 years. Some people are supportive.
Well, my restaurant shares a trash can with the residents who live upstairs, and I noticed that they have a lot of plastic water bottles that they keep throwing away. And I just don't quite understand it because they live at home, so they obviously have water and cups. It just seems like a really big waste to keep using water bottles.
The ban will affect parks, buildings, food trucks, and other public events. The Board of Supervisors specifically mentioned that the ban would not apply to sporting events.
Those who do not abide by the ban could be fined up to $1,000.
The National Association of the Deaf honored many trailblazers in Hollywood at their first Breakthrough Gala. They honored 6 different people who have paved the way and broken barriers for deaf and hard of hearing artists.
In today's world, the media is such a powerful tool that reaches millions of people, whether it be through television, the internet, or even film. These mediums of communication are critical, and it was great to see the National Association of the Deaf recognize and celebrate the outstanding work of deaf and hearing people alike in the media.
People from all backgrounds went to the gala to celebrate and raise awareness that deaf people can work in Hollywood.
They're going to talk about it at work tomorrow and spread the message, and this is just really important to me. I look forward to having it again in a year or two.
Yeah, I agree. We don't want to bore people or preach to them or anything. We just want them to be entertained.
The NAD hopes to continue this gala for years to come.
The California School for the Deaf Fremont clinched their first North Coast Section championship. The Eagles played their way to the Division VI title game where they faced off against St. Elizabeth.
From day one, we knew we would be good, but we had a tough start. We worked and became more connected, and the better connected we became, the more we could win. And we started winning games, and it led to championships.
CSD led by 14 points in the fourth quarter until St. Elizabeth pulled within 43-38 with 3 minutes and 43 seconds left. The Eagles scored back-to-back buckets and won with 55-47. My brother, Kevin Kovacs, is the basketball coach and athletic director for CSD. He says there wasn't one thing that made their team shine.
There wasn't really a secret. We just knew we had to work hard and prepare for every game. Staying humble was very important. With every win, we had to remember to stay humble. If we let it get to our heads, we'd lose focus, whereas being humble helped us to stay focused on the task in front of us.
This win finishes up CSD's competition season. Their coach said, no matter what, the team grew a lot this year.
It all came down to staying together as a team. That's what really helps build their self-esteem. No matter what happens, we win together and we lose together.
The National Deaf Interscholastic Athletic Association just announced CSD as this year's national champions. Kevin was awarded Coach of the Year, and co-captain Trace Martin was awarded Player of the Year.
The Cardinals have put themselves in a great position for draft day. The team went into the offseason with very specific needs and have used free agency to fill most of those. The Cards just signed Jared Valdier, Ted Larson, and Ted Ginn Jr. That fixes their issue with the offensive line and speed wide receiver. Experts say that their choices may not have been the best, but they are solid picks. It was unlikely that they would have signed better players anyway.
Pac-12 seeded number 3 ASU lost to seeded number 6 Stanford in the second round of the tournament. The game ended 58-79. The Cardinals used a 21-6 run in over a 5-minute span to push the lead to 21 with 3 minutes and 41 seconds left in the game. The linchpin in the Cardinals' win was limiting ASU's dynamic duo, Jahi Carson and Jordan Baczynski, to a combined 17 points on 5 for 18 shooting. U of A was heavily favored to win the Pac-12 tournament. Seeded number 1 U of A faced seeded number 2 UCLA in the championship 79-75. It was a close game with 45 seconds left. Jordan Adams shot 3 points to get the lead. U of A struggled on the free throw line, making it only 37.5% of the time. In the last 4 minutes, they missed 1-and-1 shots twice. UCLA is the nation's best defense team and held the bacon of the Pac-12. In the women's basketball Pac-12 playoffs, ASU was upset by USC in the quarterfinals 59-57. At 2 minutes 22 seconds left, ASU's Katie Hempton scored 3 points to tie the game at 57-57. But USC's Kiki Alafatuli scored the winning point at 1:25. March Madness starts this week. The NCAA playoffs started March 18th and 19th for the first and second round. In the second round, U of A, seeded number 1 in the West region, will face Weber State in the opening game in San Diego, California. Seeded number 10 in the Midwest region, ASU will face the University of Texas in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. The Final Four will be hosted in Arlington, Texas on April 5th and 7th. The women's NCAA playoffs will start on March 22nd. ASU will be playing Louisiana State University in Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
After an unsuccessful season, the New York Knicks may have found a way to turn things around. Phil Jackson just signed a 5-year contract to be president of the Knicks. He'll be earning $12 million a year. After coaching the LA Lakers, Jackson hoped to become president of their team, but it never really worked out. His contract is allowing him to live in LA part of the time and New York the rest. However, what some find interesting about the deal is that his fiancée is the president of the Lakers, which is the position Jackson originally wanted.
Who do you think's going to win the NCAA championship?
ASU. I'm glad they got in.
Yeah.
I think Wichita is possible.
Maybe Florida too.
Yeah, maybe.
Oh, what do you think about U of A?
No.
Thanks for watching.
And be sure to tune in 2 weeks and we'll fill you in on how the CGIU meeting went.